Some people pass by me, live in my brain, burrow into my heart. Some become photographs, piled in corners, frozen like snow by dust. Yesterday I was talking with a friend about a book we read, Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. The author tells a peculiar story in a boarding school. This school is no different than a normal one we can see in daily life on its facade. Except for one thing, this one is for clones. Those clone boys and girls grew up in an almost pasture-like environment, where they just do what kids of their age would do. Go to classes, play games and sports, date one another, so on and so forth. Just as what human kids would do at one point, those clone kids will also think about what they want to do after school. Some of them want to be singers, some movie star, some wants to go to the United States. But when they present this topic to one of their teachers, they've been then told, almost brutally, about the future ahead of them, and that is none of them is going to America, be a singer or any of that, but they're going to donate after school, more specifically, to donate their organs till they die, or in their words, being completed. Yes, by the word donate, they mean exactly what it means, i.e., to give out their organs, lungs, kidneys, legs, arms, and hearts. Yet, the interesting part of the story is, we would normally assume those oppressed individuals are gonna rebel and fight, then run away, which did not happen in the story. Those clone boys and girls did none of that. Instead, they readily accept their destiny as per how they're being told, and then go about their lives as if nothing ever happens. They continue making friends, having classes, seeking a relationship, listening to music, cooking and eating, just as normal humans would do, quietly driving towards their completion. One may be surprised or even shocked. Why on earth didn't they fight or riot, or just escape? Why would they bear up with such nasty and horrifying presupposed destiny? To understand this, I think we can look at these questions from another perspective, our humankind's perspective. We're born to this world, fed by our family, educated by school, regulated by social norms and conventions, and afterwards, we're likely to step into the real world, no longer protected by the bubble we're used to living in. Then we are asked to offer something of value to the society, such as fixing a pipe as a plumber, passing on knowledge as a teacher, arguing a case as a lawyer, cooking food as a chef. Whatever the case, the process of offering values is a trade-off, meaning that we will ourselves to labor, to give away time and energy, and sometimes sacrificing our own thoughts, even bending over backwards, to offering the value expected by the world. As a result, we get protected by the society we live in, and live off the money and wealth generated by this trade-off. We get paid, hoping to keep living and have a better life. This might be in part what a social contract is about, giving away part of ourselves, be it our time, health, or youth, so as to get something back. We do this for good reasons, since life is too hard to bear with for any man or woman alone. One thereof needs the protection from institutions, marriage, or law to combat the catastrophe of human existence. Yet, few people realize that this process of offering values is also part and parcel of the process named alienation. It should be noted that before we enter into a communist utopia where there is infinite material wealth and resources, one essential task of all human societies is to have people socialized, so that they can conform to what is expected, do the job assigned to them as per the dictate. More specifically, if you happen to be a plumber, you've got to resist what's intrinsically in you that wants to stay away from the dirt. But to get the pipe fixed, to get the damn money, or if you're born in an extraordinarily competitive province in terms of getting into uni, despite your hatred for tedious study, you're still forced to crack math questions all the time. In a nutshell, the world is like a huge factory, and before long, everybody are expected to offer something to the table, or they themselves are some skills of a gigantic machine. They're programmed or educated for a purpose, which is to be useful to this huge production line. As laid out before, that's how the society works. But that doesn't take away the fact that this is alienation writ large, since people grudgingly offer something useful against their natural will, sacrificing even what they really want for realistic reasons, so that their bread is earned or buttered. Before long, they would be stripped away of what they can offer, get old, and die. Isn't that a bit like how those clones in Never Let Me Go donate all they have till they are completed? Why don't we, as we asked earlier, rebel or run away? Ishiguro himself, as the author, has an answer. He said, I was never interested in looking at stories of great slaves who rebelled and escaped. I'm fascinated by the extent to which people don't run away. That's the case in real life mostly. Chances are we don't run away. Why is that? One reason, I said earlier, is that this is part of the social contract. We give a little to take a little. But there's a more important reason we don't bring up quite often, and that is, we intrinsically know there's something we're wired to seek and foster in this life, despite all its flaws and injustice. It doesn't have to be set the world straight, that kind of thing. Rather, something small and unnoticeable can also be the very reason people don't run away and keep going. Like a dancing bacon or egg in a frying pan, coming along with a cup of coffee in the morning when the sun just rises. A beautiful date along the sea, hearing the sound of the wave dashing towards the rocks as two people are walking to the edge of the world. It could just be a deep fried chicken at midnight, 5-hour phone conversation with friends, the best soy latte you've ever had, and someone you can't let go of. Those moments, trivial as they are, can form something we could call meaning, an irresistible force telling us, please don't go, please stay in the storm of life, no matter how tragic the ending seems. This epiphany could even be magnified when we realize that the life of humankind in its essence is no different from that of a clone who donates his or her organs. We all need to provide, and more importantly, what's awaiting us ultimately is death. That means life is short and transient, plus its burden and natural subjugation. It is so short and obscure, like a scrap of paper, shredded and thrown away by a man carelessly into the street, people walking by, unintentionally stepping it over. Hardly anyone would remember what happened to it. It will be long gone in the blink of an eye. Just think about someone who passed away in your life. No matter how dear this person is to you, no matter how sad you might be upon his passing, you will always come to a point where when you wake up in the morning, making breakfast, brush teeth, and go about your business, and suddenly you realize you don't think of this person, not even once. That's how oblivious we are. One friend of our family who was a math teacher passed away around 2 years ago. He was robust and healthy, ironic and kind, and still quite young. Nobody expected it to happen to someone like him. Yet after all those sorrows, life continues. And of course, we need to move on, no matter how strange and unfair the destiny seems. We always do. I think when we see people we cared about taken away from the world like this, it should urge us to rethink about the relationship and stories that are important to us. Just like those clone boys and girls in a story, When they realize time's short, they begin more urgently to cultivate their relationship, hold what they value, instead of complaining the apparent tragedy of life itself. Those relationships and stories about ourselves, if carefully tended to and preserved, can be a small castle in this world. Obscure as it looks, it can fend off the sorrow and brutality of the strongest storm. At the end of the day, everything can be long gone, except those relationships and memories we fostered and kept that are like a favorite piece of music of ours, soaring high enough to drown down the sound of gunfire, and it says, "Never let me go." However, that's not all there is to it. Realizing we're all gonna die will indeed prompt us to act on what matters to us, but it's not enough. We tend to think it is us that are gonna die, not I am gonna die. In other words, people tend to dodge the question and ignore the fact that actually people are gonna face death alone. As much as others want to be there supporting this person, it's still a journey people ought to partake of alone. If we fail to realize that, then everything we do wouldn't matter at all. After all, we're all gonna die. Then why should I care? Yet, if we realize it's actually that I that's gonna die, then maybe we can detach ourselves from the crowd, realizing it is not enough to realize life is short. So better get at what we value. That's not sufficient, but to make it special and different than others. The reason for that is quite simple. I am gonna die, and I'm driving towards that inevitable destination. I shall ignite the fire of my life to make a mess in this world, to anger, to hate, to love, and sing my favorite song, walking to the end with pride and love.